7 years, a single man. Came out of nowhere. You're going to make a movie. You blew everyone away with that. Won awards. Colin Firth. I mean, it was all amazing. Colin Firth was phenomenal.
Thank you.
Julianne Moore, all of it was perfect.
Thank you.
You waited a while, built your empire up again, and now we're back. Had a child
who's now 4.
Wow. Welcome to it.
Opened 100 stores.
Opened 100 stores, and you decided to go back behind the camera, or actually you wrote. Why this story? What spoke to you about Nocturnal Animals?
Well, first of all, I think a story needs to be entertaining. The book itself is literally a page-turner. But for me, film has to say something. Has to, when you leave the theater, you have to think about your life. It has to be something that haunts you. And loyalty is something that's very, very important to me in life. Richard and I have been together for 30 years. I tend to keep people in my life when I find someone that I love, that I care about. And that's really the important thing. That's what this story is about, is not throwing people away. When you find somebody great, when you find your soulmate, hold on to them. So it's, in certain ways, a cautionary tale about what can happen when you do throw people away.
Well, this opening of this film was one of the most incredible openings I've ever seen in a movie, and I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what I was about to see. I knew nothing about it. So let me just say that.
It's an important opening. Obviously, when you're seeing a film, you need to grab the audience's attention, and you don't necessarily want them to know what's coming. But there are several reasons for that opening. One is these women have actually shed what they think they're supposed to be. And I found these women, when I filmed them and shot them, so free, so completely free, because they have let go of all of the stereotypes and everything that in our world says, this is what you need to be, this is how you need to fit in. And that, in a sense, is a microcosm for the entire story and for what Susan is going through, because she's forcing herself to be what she's supposed to be. And I could go on and on about the opening, because there are other things about the opening that made me want to, but I don't want to take up the whole interview.
No, that's okay. We can go all night. But it is true that they're almost grotesque but beautiful in their confidence at the same time. You're watching it, and I felt that I was like watching it, judging it, shamed by it, kind of impressed by it.
And in the end, I hope you found it beautiful.
Yeah, and I had no idea what it was until you pull back and you realize, it's an art installation.
All of the art in the film is real, created by very well-known artists. I don't love art films where the art is fake. It doesn't usually have the emotion and the power of real art. But that piece I created, and I had to think, I had to get my head inside of an artist. I've lived in Europe for the last 27 years, and I thought, a European artist producing this might want to make a comment on America and where we are culturally. So I dressed these women in little bits and pieces of Americana. I think a lot of people have thought, America, tits and ass, beautiful people, suntanned, healthy. So this was a statement originally to show where we are as America today. Aging, gluttonous, overfed. However, as I said, as I shot these women, their joy behind the camera completely altered my view of what that was, that purpose of that was to serve in the film.
It's incredible. All right, another kind of something I need to know. Redheads for you. They must mean something. I think of the little redheaded girl in Charlie Brown, but Julianne Moore was just exquisite in A Single Man. Amy Adams, Isla, little girl that plays the daughter.
I think I must actually, and I didn't realize it, have a thing for redheads. In this particular case, there is a need for all the characters to resemble the lead character. So had I cast a brunette, everyone would have been a brunette. But I cast Amy Adams. She's a redhead. In the novel, the inner novel, what her ex-husband is saying to her is, this is what you did to me. You destroyed me. And so we have someone who represents Amy Adams for him and represents their daughter that never was to be. Then, of course, we have Susan's real daughter. I guess I do have a thing for redheads.
You do like redheads.
I think some of the best actresses in the world right now happen to be redheads.
Yeah, I agree. They're great. You wrote this. Obviously, it was inspired from a novel. I haven't read the book, so I don't know how much if it's a real, traditionally literal translation. But this is non-linear. You do a beautiful job of weaving these stories together.
Thank
and
you.
I had Michael Shannon in here. I'm going to have Aaron in tomorrow. Amy obviously was here. And it's interesting because Michael Shannon loves Amy Adams, but he actually wasn't in his section. It had nothing to do with Amy.
No, and Michael didn't really speak to anyone on the set. Michael goes so into character. Everyone on the set was terrified of Michael because he inhabited that character. Even between takes, he just smoked and sat there in that cowboy hat. So he didn't speak to too many people that he was working with either. However, he's brilliant, and he gave a brilliant performance. And I respect his way of working, which was to immerse himself in that character and become that character.
Yeah, and he really loved working with you. So he did
That's
talk
good.
about
He's never
that.
said that.
Yeah, well, he said it here.
He never talked to me on the set, so I don't know.
When you're writing, I don't. I mean, I write. I know how difficult it is. I've never even attempted to write a screenplay.
You should get final draft. Get started.
But how? I mean, obviously you're a creator. You do collections, all of that. But how is that process different? And what kind of pressure and deadline do you put on yourself to
Writing
get that
for me
done?
is one of the most fun parts of making a film, as is editing, because it is completely singular. And it is completely perfect because it's in your head. So you're not having any of the problems. You didn't get the person that you wanted to play that role. Nothing has broken down. Everything's working. It's exactly as you envision it. You're typing, that doesn't work. You change something else. So at that stage, it's in your head. It's perfect. You have yet to go through the process where lots of imperfect things happen. And by the way, where things that you did not expect happen, which add even more to it that you couldn't have imagined when you were sitting there typing out dialogue or working on the scenes. So for me, it's incredibly fun, as is editing, because working on a set is great, it's fun, but as you know, it's so scheduled that it's like you pull a trigger and it's like a relay race to just make sure you're able to get through it. And then after that, you're left with whatever you're left with, and you have to take that and turn it into something. And again, it becomes somewhat singular. You're in a dark room with your editor, rebuilding performances, rewriting. It's really the final rewrite, and that to me is so much fun.
That's amazing that you did. I mean, I'm just very, very impressed by it. Is there one thing that, obviously directing, anything can go wrong on any given day, but was there one particular thing that surprised you during this process?
Oh, God, I think everything surprises you. I think every day surprises you, and I think every day things go wrong. But you have to be open to that, and you have to keep an open eye. You can visualize something, or I'm only speaking the way that I work, and I've only made 2 movies. A director who's made a lot more movies could probably give you a better answer. But I think it's important. I always have a very clear idea of what I want, what kind of shot I want. In fact, I even write the shots into the screenplay. However, you have to keep an open eye. You have to get there and say, wow, okay, well, I thought this was going to look good, but that's amazing. Let's move it. Get over there. Let's shoot it from that way. So those constant surprises, I think, every day working on a film are the things that also make it fun.
I also want to talk about the Southwest, because I feel like that is kind of another whole other character in this movie, and I know you're from that part of the world.
I am.
And it's interesting because I meet actors all the time, obviously, in my job, and there's always something about women from Texas. There's just survival, a hard, like, I don't want to say hardness, but they're always winning pageants. At least when I was growing up, it was always Miss America was always, someone from Texas.
We have a good genetic mix in
We have
Texas.
a great genetic mix. But with the men, it was interesting. They are not the macho guys, and it's certainly in the beginning of Nocturnal Animals, you're kind of expecting that because you're used to seeing that in a movie. Okay, here we go, and it's so not that.
I think you have to write, or I believe in that old line, write what you know. So I set that part of the story in West Texas. I set the other part of the story in Los Angeles. Both worlds I know very, very well. I grew up in Texas as not the traditional male, macho stereotype. So you also have to, I think, in order to say something that's meaningful, personalize your characters when you're writing them. And so a big part of this is about masculinity, because Jake's character, both characters, Tony and Edward, are not necessarily what we would perceive of as strong. Yet in the end, they are the strongest. They both win. You know, the character in the novel ultimately wins. The character outside of the novel, he sticks with what he believes in, and after 20 years, he finally does it. So that was a personal exploration of masculinity for me.
That was good. Very successful in that. Speaking of successful, 10-minute standing ovation in Venice. I heard about it. Amazing.
It was so nice.
How did that
Really
feel?
nice.
Does that feel any different than having people just roar at the end of a show? I was able to go to your show in L.A., and that was phenomenal. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And you had said to me, well, you've never been to a Tom Ford show. I was like, I haven't.
God, did I say that?
Well, I've never been. I
my
don't do fashion
God.
shows, so
Oh.
it was in L.A. And so since I'm there, you invited me, and I loved every second of it. I'd never seen anything like it. But
I think any time that you work hard on something and you care about it and you feel that other people react in that way, it's exciting. Venice for me was surreal because you just kind of don't know what to do. You're standing there and people are clapping and they don't stop, and it's surreal. It's moments like that sometimes you remember better later, or I do. I kind of blank out, you know, but I tried to take it in and tried to enjoy it. It was incredible. It was amazing. Venice, you know, Italy for me is important. I lived there for a long time, and I still have a business there. And Colin, in our last film, won the Coppa di Volpi, which is the award for Best Actor. So the Venice Film Festival means a lot to me, as does the Toronto Film Festival. We had our North American premiere here 7 years ago. I hope it's not 7 years again. I don't think it will be. And so I'm very happy to be here.
how do you like being sober?
I love being sober. My life has completely come together. I opened my own company. I've got 122 stores. Most importantly, I have a wonderful son who's about to turn 4. I've made 2 films. So life has just fallen into place.
And you're raising your son in America, right? You're not.
Well, we've been raising him in England. He has quite a British accent.
Oh, he does. Okay.
He does. This year, we're going to try the school year in Los Angeles. I think after 17 years in the UK, we need a bit of sun.
Yeah. A little vitamin D.
A little vitamin D.
It's good. It's so funny. It's great to see you.
Thank you. It's great
you're
to see
a
you.
unicorn. You really are. It's amazing.
Well, thank you.
You do it, and it's the confidence that you have, that you put towards things, and the way people step in line is very impressive. And the
Thank you
writing is
very
really,
much.
really impressive on this.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was a
And you seem to
pleasure.
be ageless, too, by the way.
Is that on camera?
Ageless! It is a seductive life, and it's one that I am actually, in my other life, partially to blame for. And I struggle, and I've talked about that before in the press for years. I struggle with the fact that I helped create this contemporary consumer culture, and at the same time, I'm repulsed by it and disturbed by it. The reality is we are all actual humans. We live in a material world. Material beauty brings us a certain level of enjoyment in our lives, but we can't let it overtake that.
It makes me happy. I love pretty things.
You
I'm
love
shallow.
pretty things.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not shallow. You
Yeah,
love pretty
yeah.
things, but the most important things in your life are not the pretty things.
No,
I would
you're
suspect
right.
they're
Yeah.
the people
You're right.
that you have in your life. There's also 2 sides of the world. I think in our material culture, we, not to use the word throwaway too much, but we do. This isn't working, you get rid of it. That person's not working, you fire them. Your husband or your wife isn't, you divorce them. Because we're told in our culture that if you have all of these material things, you're going to be happy.